Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist. I own 54 units of real estate. So I want to give an update as to my conversation with LENNAR. So I just bought my 54th unit. So here are some high-level numbers. So I basically bought it for the original price was $320,000. They dropped it $20,000 as an incentive. So it's $300,000. And on top of that, they dropped me an additional $44,000 to get to the final purchase price of $256K. Right? So my all-in cash price is $256K, which is why I had to pay all cash. So as I learned about delayed financing, I want to cash out this property, and there's two ways to do it that I've just learned of recently, because I don't really cash out refinance my deals, if I'm being honest. So the first way that I'm doing on my first property, which is my 53rd property, is a 75% loan to value cash out refinance with no seasoning. So the key is no seasoning, right? So they'll honor the ARV and do 75% cash out refinance. So in this example, how it would work is they would take the ARV, which I believe is around $330,000 or $320 to $330K, and I would do 75% of that. And depending on what I get, so if my ARV is $320, which is very realistic, I'm probably gonna leave about close to $20,000 in the deal. If I have an ARV of $330, I'm probably gonna leave about $10,000 in the deal. So, call it worst case, $20K left in the deal. Best case is $10K left in the deal, but I'm at the mercy of the appraiser and the ARV. So that's one way that I'm going to cash out refinance my 53rd unit. But I want to try a different strategy, which I just confirmed, that could work with LENNAR. So basically my second strategy is I want to do delayed financing. So it's 80% loan to value based on the purchase price. But this is where I get a little creative, right? So I asked LENNAR, okay, my original price was $300,000. My cash price is $256,000. So I just said, okay, if the lender were to look at the purchase price of $300,000, they'd only allow me to do 80% of $300,000. And I believe that makes me leave around, I think also I was roughly around like $20,000 in the deal as well, right? So I would do 300,000 times 80, that's $240. So I would leave roughly around $20,000 in the deal, right? And that's not ideal for me because I want to scale and I still work a W-2. So like if I left $16,000 in the deal, I have to like allocate money from my W-2 to save up for the next, $16,000. So I just said, okay, well, for delayed financing, they look at the purchase price. They don't necessarily look at how much credits I get, or at least that's my hypothesis, right? They just want to see the purchase price. So I asked LENNAR, okay, your original price was $300,000. After my cash incentives ends up being $256K, right? But on the contract and what they close at and what you see as public record is $300,000 is my purchase price. So they don't see the credits. So I asked LENNAR, hey, would you be willing to bump up the price from $300 to $320, but give me that $20,000 as builder credits? So it's a wash, right? So at the end of the day, LENNAR is getting $256K, and I'm putting out cash $256K. But the lender will see $320,000. Well, guess what? What's 80? So now I'm at 320, 80% delayed financing of 320 is $256,000. Well, how much am I in on the deal? I'm in on the deal $256,000. So the only money that I have to fork over are the closing costs associated with the loan, right? Loan origination fee, underwriting fee, and I have to do some prepayment for the property tax, the insurance, all that good stuff, right? But I don't really count that because I have to pay that eventually. So I just said, wow, this is actually a lot easier for me, because getting an appraisal for an ARV of 330 is going to be a lot harder than getting an appraisal of a purchase price of 320. Because if you look at all appraisals, they conveniently always come around the price that you buy it at. And I do have sales comps at, comfortably. I have sales comps from May of 2025, so it's relatively speaking pretty recent. But I have sales comps at like 317K, which is roughly the original price on the property. So I know that I can get that appraisal and do this delayed financing. And this has like many benefits to me, right? So with delayed financing, I just can't like over milk it, right? I can't just like have LENNAR jack up the price to like 330. That might be pushing it, but like 320 was their original price, because they had it at 300, but it was a $20,000 discount. So 320 is pretty reasonable, right? So it has to be within reason. But what's nice about delayed financing is there's many advantages. Number one, I'm not as much as the mercy of the appraiser, because I know this will confidently appraise at 320 versus me trying to get an ARV of 330. Number one. Number two is the interest rate is going to be better for delayed financing for some reason versus a cash out refinance. So the interest rate for cash out refinance was about a 6.875 versus with delayed financing is 6.7. So it's better by like 1/8 of a point, which isn't significant, but hey, anything helps here. If you can get a lower interest rate, why not? And I can do this a lot faster, right? Because then I have a lender that requires 3 months seasoning. Ameritrust doesn't require seasoning, but like if you do delayed financing, there's no seasoning requirement. So it's an option, right? So I like this because it's 80% loan to value. So it's a little bit higher loan to value. And like I said, LENNAR doesn't care, because they get their 256K regardless, and they're just gonna like increase the home site premium by $20,000 to justify that, and then give me that $20,000 in builder credit retrospectively. So at the end of the day, they get the same money. And when I talked to LENNAR, I just said, hey, like, can we get a little creative? It'll help me finance the deal to pull all my money to then buy a third deal with you guys. So he was just like, he understood the goal, and he's just like, LENNAR doesn't really care because they get their 256K cash. And he's like, well, to him, he just can rewrite the contract, like you said, bump it up from 300 to 320, and then give me another $20,000 in builder credit, right? So at the end of the day, it's the same amount of money, and like they're happy to do that, right? So basically, I'm just saying I'll just pay original price, but give me that as builder credit and show the purchase price at a higher purchase price, because then the lender looks at 80% loan to value, right? So they don't need to know that I got a bunch of like builder incentives to basically, or cash incentives to drop down my cash price. So they just see the purchase price at 320. So the only downside of this is that because my purchase price is higher, my property tax is based off the higher purchase price. But I did the math. So I took $20,000 times that by 0.32%. It ends up being $60 extra a year. That's nothing, right? I'd rather pay $60 extra a year in property tax and get back all my money and do a perfect BRRRR, right? And it's super easy to do that. So my only limiting step is getting it rented out now. So I'll see how it goes. Like I said, even best case, if it appraises at 330 ARV, 75% cash out refinance, I'm leaving $8,000 in the deal, which isn't terrible. But if I can do this delayed financing and asking LENNAR to jack up the price by $20,000, but give me $20,000 in builder repair credit, I can do 80% of the purchase price of 320. So I'm getting 80% of 320 versus 75% of 330. And at that point, it's a perfect BRRRR, no money in the deal. I just have to cover closing costs, which I don't mind. Maybe let's just call it $5,000, whatever. And I continue to scale this deal. So the limiting step now is just getting it rented out, right? It's just literally getting it rented out, because I don't want to carry too many of these deals, without rent, cash flow, without rent. So I don't want to like buy so many deals cash and then not have it rented out, because when the loans are due, it's kind of scary, right? So like I said, like if this works, I can literally buy a deal every single month, assuming that I can rent it out, right? That's assuming that I can get it rented out. But in terms of the financing, like in my opinion, it's only gonna get better because interest rates are going down and lower, so I don't mind doing this deal. So like I'm hoping to stack up a bunch of these deals and get my 55th unit. I have 2 communities that I'm targeting, which I like, but there's other communities that we're open to, but we're not as like bullish on, if we had to pick, because you know at the end of the day these need to rent out, right? And if you can give me that price of, so basically I'm gonna tell LENNAR, like, dude, if you can give me a purchase price on paper of 320, but my all-in cash price is 256, like I'll buy these deals all day, assuming I can rent them out at like 2150, which is what the rents I've been getting. So you know, the first one rented out really fast. We're already kind of like pre-advertising my second one, but it's not gonna be done till like mid-November. And I know it's a hard time to rent in November, but the moment that's rented out, I'll be looking to eyeball another deal, right? Because what's nice about buying new construction is like a lot of times when I have it under contract, I'm not going to close until 2-3 months out because they're still building the property, right? So they're still building the property. So I have time to get it rented out. I have time to, you know, get financing on it. So in worst case, if it's not rented out and I need to pull the money out, I can do it and just float, you know, a month of mortgage payment on it. It's not the end of the world, right? It might be end up like $1,600, not the end of the world. So this is how I hope to scale my portfolio. So this is like my new construction lazy burr using delayed financing. So this is like a multi-pronged approach, right? So number one, I'm waiting for a sale. It's a buyer's market. Number two is that I'm buying all cash, so I'm getting cash incentives. Number three is I'm asking LENNAR to bump up the purchase price by $20,000 and give me $20,000 in credit so that I can do my 80% loan to value delayed financing to basically pull all my money in the deal, using a debt service coverage ratio loan, and I get a slightly better interest rate versus doing a cash out refinance, and I'm not at the mercy of seasoning, so I can use multiple lenders. And then from there, basically I'm just waiting for it to get rented out to then buy the next deal. Like I don't have to wait for it to be rented out to buy the next deal. The lender, the DSCR lender doesn't care, but just for my sake and like not wanting to scale too fast, I want to make sure it's at least rented out and I have a lease. And once I have a lease, then basically I just would you know, buy the next deal. So that's my security blanket. So you know, I can go as fast as every 30 days, but if I can rent it every 30 days, I'll go buy one deal every 30 days. If it takes me 2 months to rent it out, then I'll buy one every 2 months. So my limiting step is literally renting it out. So this is called the lazy burr. No construction, no swinging hammers, no dealing with contractors. I'm just buying it right, negotiating with LENNAR. And what's beautiful about this system is that LENNAR knows what I want to do. They know my price I need to hit at. So I just can always ask them to jack up the price by $20,000 and lower my price by $20,000, and I'm okay, right? Because as long as I can hit my purchase price and then get all my money back in the deal, I don't care how much money I may have to spend, right? Like if I have to spend $265 to make the deal work, but I have a feeling that I have precedence now because I'm just buying constantly and consistently. So, and then from there, I'm going to use Ameritrust or Lending One, depending which one gives me better rates and terms, to continue to buy the deals to scale, right? So that's kind of my goal, and that's kind of like my strategy, right? And then I'm going to ask the lenders, like, hey, look, like I'm going to do this every 2 months. Like, can you give me a discount? Can you give me a break on any deal? Because I'm doing business with you constantly, right? I'm giving you constant business. Can I get a discount anyway, right? And then same with LENNAR. Like they know, like, oh my God, this guy, he's bought a lot of deals. He's paying all cash. He's serious. Like, let's give him some discounts. Like I said, you hit my price at $256. I don't care. You hit my all-in cash price at $256, and my purchase price on paper is $320. I'll buy these deals all day. Right? You give me those two numbers. $320 purchase price, $256 cash all in. I'll buy these deals all day. Right? If you can give me lower than $256, great. But if not, my minimum is $256. You do that, I can lend this and buy deals all day, and we'll scale together, right? We'll get creative. We'll scale together. And that's how we both make money. So anyways, first, to summarize this, my first loan, I'm hoping to get 75% cash out of $330K ARV. I'm at the mercy of the appraisal. Interest rate's about 6.875. My second loan, I'm probably going to do delayed financing, 80% loan to value, but I'm gonna jack up the purchase price by $20,000 and ask for $20,000 in repair credit, so that I can do a perfect BRRRR. So my first deal, I'm probably gonna leave $8,000 in the deal, assuming I hit my ARV. My second deal, I'm gonna hit a perfect BRRRR where I have no money in the deal. So if that continues, I want to buy these deals over and over and over and over again. And the limiting factor is, can my property manager rent these out at around $2,100 to $2,200? If so, I'll buy these deals all day, right? So, anyways, like I said, these aren't crazy cash flowing deals, but the point is, I'm buying these with instant equity day one, $60,000 at instant equity day one. So it's increasing my paper net worth, but obviously I can't retire off $100 in cash flow a month, and realistically $100 a month in cash flow is just gonna be saved for my reserve for repairs, for vacancies, because if they're vacant, they're gonna be vacant for like 1 to 3 months on average, and then just really go from there. So anyways, hopefully you found value from this video. So you know, I want to document my journey for the new construction BRRRR. I wish our properties were nearby, otherwise I would like go in there and just film myself in them, but they're too far in Huntsville, Alabama, and I don't have any PTO. But I hope to do this strategy, and like you said, if I can rent these out, I hope to buy like 6 of these deals this year, because it's a buyer's market. It's great right now. It's a great time for me to buy new construction, because builders are more desperate. They want to offload inventory, and they want to make sure they have a solid guaranteed buyer, and that's what I am, right? So like I said, you make my numbers work, I'm good, and I don't mind paying a little bit more if interest rates work, right? I just need to basically cash flow these deals enough so that I want to be at a debt service coverage ratio about 1.15, so it's 50% higher than, you know, my all-in cost, my loan amount. So that's where I'm kind of comfortable sitting at with these deals. So we'll keep you guys posted. Like I said, I bought 2 in the same community. I'm targeting another community that they said that they're gonna launch more properties end of maybe November/December, or early 2026. But I'm hoping to buy more in that community, and then maybe my also community. I'm not sure. I think my community is done, but we'll see. If they release more, I'm open to buying more, because I know the community, I know the area. But I want to diversify a little bit and buy this other community. And then, you know, there's other communities that we've been eyeing as well, but they're not like our number 1, number 2 choice, right? I'm just buying my number 1, number 2 choice right now. And later we might move to other communities once there's less inventory and they're like rented out, right? So anyways, we'll keep you guys posted on this new BRRRR journey, but it's going to get boring. But I want to see it go through full cycle, right? Like I'm hoping in about 3 weeks I'll do my cash out refinance with Ameritrust, and then whenever my next property gets rented out, I'm going to do my 80% loan to value. I'm thinking of using Lending One for that one, so I'll keep you guys posted. So anyways, if you want to learn how to do new construction BRRRR, check out my school community for a free trial. I have coaching, mentorship, a newsletter. If you want a steadily landlord insurance quote, which is what I'm using for my 2 new build properties, which helps save me money, check out my link for Steadily. You can get yourself a free quote. It's pretty fast. If you want to send me an email, they're all my links down below. I hope to see you next one. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much.